here at Voxxed Ticino with Myriam.
Hi.
He's giving a talk about usability.
Yes.
So we were actually chatting casually the other day about usability and about how there isn't a lot of focus on it, or as much as you would like to see. Can you explain that?
Well, it's not so much a lack of focus as much as not every single company or every single product gets to take this into account. And I don't think that's normal because usability, well, when you think about it, we do make things for humans or other systems to be able to use. So if we can't use it the way it's meant to be used, then it doesn't work, at least in my book. I shouldn't have to torture myself to be able to use your product. And what I noticed more and more is when I work with certain clients that are at the beginning stage of their journey, or some clients that are very limited in terms of budget, usability gets thrown at whatever team wants to pick it up. Or it's implicitly agreed that, oh, somehow this will work out and magically our product will be usable, which is not the case.
So it's interesting you should say that, because I have been a frustrated user in many occasions, and I'm sure you've seen
Yes.
that yourself. So if you're designing your own usability test, where would you start? So are there any resources people can go to?
There's quite a few, and believe it or not, there's quite a few resources on Medium.com that get started that, people were tired of waiting for this to be a regular occurrence. So you can find people's opinions and what they experimented with and what works for them on Medium. There's also a fundamental book by Steve Kruger, which is Don't Make Me Think. So if you want to get started somewhere, just start reading this and you'll understand this in very, very simple terms. There's also quite a few tools that enable you to do remote usability testing, and usually these tools have amazing resources to help you around. I'm not going to choose to name a few, because then I'll be asked, why didn't you name this one or that one? You just can figure them out quite fast.
And so when I think of usability testing, and I'm complete novice, ignorant of usability testing, I think of two things: automatic testing and then getting people in to use your apps. Is that something that you...
Well, it depends how you approach usability testing. You can test remotely with a service where, users will be recruited for you, or you can also suggest some users, or you can do this in-house, in a conference room, basically, and have either beta testers or a few users that represent some segments of your audience or your customers test it out. So there are some pitfalls, especially when it comes to choosing users. Oftentimes people will try to choose users that are already super users, that already know the product, like the back of their hands. And the problem with that is they're already primed, they're already trained, so they're not going to have the same frustrations as a beginning user or a brand new user that doesn't even know your product or the industry it's in. The other thing is, when you take the remote route and you trust a company to outsource this user testing recruiting, so who's going to be testing your product, how, what, when, the biggest problem I found, and it's a pitfall, is that these users are also primed. They're also used to testing things because that's how they make money. And it can be good or it can be bad because they may not represent your target audience. They may not represent the regular user because they are a type of super user as well. So it's finding the happy medium as to who are you going to have test your product.
Is that the biggest challenge?
It's one of them. The other one is actually integrating usability testing in various processes in a company, because it integrates actually quite well. It doesn't cost very much and it doesn't delay any development processes, but a lot of people try to push it at the end. And it's one of the worst things that you can do, because then you've invested so much time, so much energy in building something that you are involved and you're anchored in its success. So you will not accept some of the feedback because it means that you have to go back and fix it.
So you get into kind of a vicious
cycle, yes.
Is there any kind of automated usability testing you can do?
For me, I would not necessarily have it automated, because one of the first things you have to figure out is, what are your hypotheses? What do you want to test? And what areas or what types of user testing do you want to do? So there's various types that you can do. And the ones we keep talking about currently, you and I, are more of the scripted kind. But you could also go for card sorting. You could validate your personas. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of usability testing. And I think that if you want to get started and you're more of a developer, go with the scripted kind, because then you'll figure out, what is my objective? What are the parts of the website or application that I know my users are going to have frustrations with? Or maybe you have a vested business interest. So you have a business objective. People should be able to buy X. And if that purchase flow doesn't work, then you have a problem, because the product is not going to work in terms of business. So figure out what you want, what the different tasks are, and then create a scenario and, retest it. It can be part of a cycle. It's very iterative, but I would not trust it to be automated, because you always have to have that thinking in the back of your mind. What are we testing this time and why? What's the priority?
The human element.
Yes.